Here's Mike Winters.
It is a sound way to do that. Like it's the guy that keeps, the wimpy thing. I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger day guy.
There's only about 14 people out there that know what you're talking about.
Probably. I thought maybe some would catch the Popeye movie in the 90s, or they caught that with Robin Williams. But anyway, that is handy. I mean, if someone keeps borrowing, sure, here's $5, and you hand it to him in a sack of pennies, he's probably not going to borrow money from you anymore.
Yeah, buddy.
It's not a bad move, just saying. It is 32 minutes after 7 o'clock. And joining us in studio this morning, he is watered and fed, a little bleary-eyed. Mayor Dennis
A little.
Oh,
my God.
Mayor Dennis Kintigh back with us. Morning.
All right. I earned my pay last night. I got like 42 cents an hour.
Wow.
Well, yeah.
Take the morning off.
Don't get me started.
Well, for folks that don't know, last night was City Council, and apparently it took a while to get through the agenda last night.
It did take us a while. 6 hours and 38 minutes. New record for my tenure as mayor.
I'm trying to think. I know you guys went up to midnight before.
Yeah,
but
we went just past once before.
Yeah, I don't think many times.
Yeah, this is till 12:38.
And that was another one that was something to do with elections or something that was a lot going on. I don't remember, too.
We had a lot on the agenda. Just a real quick, at the beginning, I get to make some announcements, and there's two I'd like to reiterate again. One, it's kind of an in-the-weeds thing, but it is a huge deal. We have gotten, in the last 2 weeks, from the FAA, written confirmation that they no longer have an interest in or control over, they've released completely the old municipal airport from FAA oversight. What am I talking about? So in 1968, when the Air Center's, Roswell Airport's operations moved from what was the old Air Center, which is way out there in Cielo Grande, to what used to be Walker Air Force, where it is now. At that time, the old space that was the old municipal airport stayed under FAA oversight because there had been grants and funds from the FAA in the 40s and 50s. To release that to the city with no FAA oversight, we had to go through a process that was initiated about 2.5 years ago. It was done by Mr. Juan Fuentes, Director of Administrative Services. And the long story short is that we got that in the last couple weeks, that official authorization. Okay. So that is a huge deal, and my hat's off to Mr. Fuentes.
So does that relinquish any restrictions that may have been in place on anything we could do with that parcel of land until that happened? Or
basically, yes. Yeah. And what it meant is that if we have revenue from sale of that land, we got 600 acres over there. If we were to sell off any of that property for a developer, that money had to go into the airport fund.
Gotcha. Okay.
Not into the fund that we use for streets.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Just because like you said, the grants and everything, right. The way that land was.
So that was the huge deal. Plus, you had to get blessing from FAA. The other thing is a reiteration from last month. I know it's all over the news, and some people may or may not be happy with this. The city of Roswell does not require employees to be vaccinated.
Correct.
We will not require employees to be vaccinated. So, folks, if you have any friends up in the Albuquerque area working for the city of Albuquerque or the state of New Mexico that are concerned about being required, we are hiring. So check out the website.
There you go. Roswell-nm.gov.
Then we're off the races. Okay, we had two presentations that consumed an hour and a half. The first one was an overview on the Chamber of Commerce. And you're part of that board.
Yeah.
And the long story short is a few years ago, there was a kind of a meltdown at the chamber. There were some issues about mismanagement. There was a huge change in leadership there. The city had been a financial contributor and member of the chamber. That was terminated not by the city, but by the previous director. Because it's time we wanted to do an audit, and rather than do the audit, the relationship was terminated. Eventually, we did have an audit done. Unfortunately, because of very poor records, there's lots of holes there. The new leadership, Andrea Moore is the executive director. Nick Snowberger is the president, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
And the chamber is moving forward.
Yeah.
We will see where we go. Eventually, it's going to be an issue between the board of directors and the city council, whether there becomes a relationship again. We'll take it one step at a time. Nobody's in a big rush, and in any case, we will be working collaboratively.
Nice. But as far as this stuff, we're kind of there, and now we're moving forward from there.
Yeah.
Is that where we're at now?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The next thing up there was another presentation, took over 45 minutes, dealing with what is referred to as clean and safe and property management. After I was elected in 2014, I was a big advocate of making it a priority to clean up derelict structures. Mm-hmm. This was something I knew firsthand from my law enforcement days. Basically, nothing good happens in derelict structures. Nothing. And it's hard on the neighbors, on the community, and the whole city suffers. So what happened is we started a line item and we started a program whereby if you as a property owner want to get rid of your derelict structure, we would not charge you to dump it at the landfill. Mm-hmm. So we did that for a number of years. We've actually suspended that for a couple of years because we're hurrying up and finishing off cell 5A, getting that built before cell 4 gets full. But that's another discussion. That was a glitch, unrelated. Well, not unrelated, but
weather and COVID. There was a lot of variables that kind of messed with the timing on that one. Yeah.
But we also became very aggressive in using funds to clean up. And I don't have the final total number, but we are in the hundreds of structures that have been removed. We still have many more to go, and that's a sad reality. In some places, property owners have torn down structures and replaced them with wonderful new facilities. Mm-hmm. We'd like to see and encourage more of that. So that's the effort, to try and encourage the development of these empty lots where there previously had been derelict structures. So that's the ongoing. It was a good discussion, but it like I said, it was 7:36 before we got to our first quote real agenda item, and that was consent stuff. We would have had something like 13 items, 11 items on the consent agenda. Mm-hmm. Councilor Orpesa, as his prerogative, pulled 7 off.
Okay, so about half got pulled down.
Yeah, over half. We only had 4 left. So that is where we began. That took us about 45 minutes to march through that. Those were acquisitions of things like some asphalt for hot recycling or other items. One of the interesting little tidbits is, and I know this is near and dear to many people's hearts, we approved the award for a mill and fill project. A number of them. One of the ones that will get people's attention is North Washington, or Washington, not North Washington, South Washington, between McGaffey and Alameda. It will be a mill and fill. Okay. So that will be rebuilt. That's a big deal. Washington is a lot of concern to a lot of people. We'll be doing some hot recycling. So there's going to be some pavement works on Washington.
Okay.
We also looked at some software. We have to sign agreements to subscribe to software that we use for like our dispatch, for our folks over at the I'm sorry, I'm a little slow this morning. Any kind of maintenance stuff that we have, so it becomes a work order type program.
Gotcha.
All right, those are now above the threshold for the city manager to authorize.
Okay,
he has a $60,000 threshold.
Okay,
well now these are up to over 70.
Okay,
it's an annual housekeeping thing.
So that's basically preventing to have him go to see you guys every time one of these need to up to that number.
Yeah, basically. And so now we're into it. So we got going and rocking and rolling. 8 o'clock. I took our first break.
First of many.
First of 3. So we took a break. Came back. And we got into the heavy lifting. All right. First thing up was the infrastructure capital improvement plan. This is where we come up with a list of all the projects we want. Now, there's 2 parts to this. Mm-hmm. One is, what are all the projects we want to do? Because you have to have a list that you report to the state that you use. And the purpose of that is that it has to be on the list to be able to qualify for any funding involving the state.
Yeah.
Grants, loans, etc. Now, there's a few items that say like the top 5 that the legislators take a look at because they get funding during the session to fund these projects rather than having the city pay for them.
Sure.
We've done it a number of different ways. It's very difficult. There's 10 counselors. What's the priority? And we bogged down last night, and the end result is we punted on this one. So we are going to have a special council meeting on only this Tuesday at 5:30.
Okay.
The motion to postpone was made by Councilor Roebuck. The final vote was 6-3 with Perry, Stubbs, and Sanchez voting no.
Okay.
By the way, Councilor Lopez was not there. He had a family member had a medical issue, and so
hope everything's okay there.
yeah, we're hopeful too.
Yeah.
All right, so we had 9 counselors. So there's no way in heck that I was going to vote last night.
Yeah, can't have a tie with 9 counselors.
No, I can't have a tie.
Unless there's some weird stuff going on.
Yeah, that's for sure. And there was weird stuff going. So we got into cannabis, and the first of 2 items dealing with marijuana. First one up was a fee schedule. This is murky area we're trying to move into, and we had a hiccup here. One thing was the way the resolution was written really didn't conform with the right format, and so I forced a break so that the changes could be written out and there'd be no confusion among the city clerk, the city attorney, or the city manager on what the new wording would be. So we took a break. That's our second one. It was only like an hour after the first one, but we took a second break. Came back, approved the resolution. We had a couple counselors that are not in favor of anything at all. That's Moore and Sanchez. Then Councilor Moore proposed a fee increases. It was a 20% fee increase. We had a debate about that, and the end result is that we did pass that. So 6-3. Once again, the final resolution passed 7-2. We spent 45 minutes on that one. Part of the challenge is we are still unsure what the state is going to do.
Right.
We still don't know if what we've established is reasonable on the state size or not. And this is the huge frustration I have with the governor and her cronies who rushed through this whole recreational marijuana program. They did it in a special city council, special legislative session, allowed 0 amendment, didn't deal with problems that were obvious in the legislation. And so we're kind of in a difficult position. We're moving forward as best we can to be reasonable in our regulations so that we maximize the protection for our citizens of this community and are within the intentions of the state with the understanding that this is still a violation of federal law.
Right.
So this was tied to a second item a little further down that dealt with the authorization to advertise for amendments to the marijuana ordinance, which we had passed last month. This is amendment package number 1 because we weren't trying to overwhelm the whole thing. So that worked on.
I don't want to get into a whole can of worms here, but I'm just curious because, like you said, at the end of the day, the marijuana stuff is still illegal in the feds' eyes here.
And in Texas.
What happens if the feds just one day had a wild hair and said, you know what, we're going to crack down on all this stuff.
Yep.
And instead of letting the states, I mean, is the state offering any kind of protection? Because let's face it, if I'm a business owner and I start a pot business here, everything within legal according to state statute, and then I got the feds trying to close me down, I would think I should be able to turn to the state and say, look, you granted me, I'm greenlit here, help me defend against this. But I don't think any of that's going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen. The state's not going to. Here's another one for you. This whole medical marijuana, this is one I've been waiting for a couple of years now. Somebody gets medical marijuana, has a bad experience. Whatever it is, Who can tell? Bad reaction. Well, where's the lawsuit for medical malpractice? Because, once again, marijuana or any of its offshoots have not been approved by the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, for medical use. This is not a lawful substance to be sold for medical purposes. There's nothing that is authorized under federal regulation, and that's who regulates the whole pharmaceutical medical treatment field. So some attorney out there is going to find a client's going to go to an attorney, and somebody's going to make a ton of money. Now, who are they going to make the money from? Well, they're going to sue the medical pot distributor. They're going to sue the doctor who, quote, gave them the get out of jail free card, because it's not really a prescription. In other words, when you get marijuana for medical purposes, you don't get a prescription. You get told, well, you can have some, but, whatever.
Yeah.
So there's no dosages.
That's true. You buy whatever you want, I'm guessing.
Yeah. And then, so they're going to sue also the state. And I'm hopeful they don't sue the city, because we've had no say in this. But they will go after the deep pockets. You know who the deep pockets are? State of New Mexico.
Yeah.
So, this is going to happen at some point. Fully legal, fully vetted medical treatments have been successfully sued. And these companies have paid out billions of dollars. We can look at OxyContin, the whole the whole opioid issue. Those are medications that were approved and prescribed, and they are turning out a gazillion dollars. What do you think is going to happen with marijuana?
Sure.
This is going to be the next cash cow for medical malpractice attorneys. And you know what? Go out there, some young attorney who wants to make a ton of money and a big name, go for it.
You're good. Yeah. I wonder. Never mind. Let's just keep moving on, because I know that we could keep going all day talking about that. We still got to finish this agenda.
Yeah, we still got 2 pages to go.
We got about 10 minutes to get it done. So,
a real quick item that normally gets no attention is a nomination to our various commissions, and this I'm gonna just spend a little time on this lady. For the Parks and Rec Commission, Becky Robertson. Becky Robertson, I got to meet when my youngest daughter was a golfer for the Goddard girls golf team.
Okay.
And Becky Robertson is arguably one of the finest, if not the finest, high school coach this state has ever seen.
Nice.
I say that with all sincerity. I am impressed with this woman's professionalism, how she worked with these young women and turned them into gracious young women, dealing with a sporting event, but also the stress and of competition. And I am thrilled that she is part of our team. All right. Next up, then the next major 1-hour discussion was on our new wayfinding. What's wayfinding? Wayfinding are signs.
Signs.
That's it. How are we going to? And this one was a little bit murky, because I think Councilor Roebuck really summed it up. What we voted on was saying to staff, these are good ideas. Let's keep marching forward down this path. It was not a final approval of designs. It wasn't a budget adjustment to say spend this much money. We said, your estimates of so many thousands of dollars, go ahead and see if you can find fabricators, contractors who will build these signs for this. And the idea is to help people find out where to go to park, to visit, like the planetarium and things like that. One of the things we're looking at, too, is what they call a monument sign, which is kind of basically a 3-dimensional version of our logo R.
Okay.
Which is really cool looking. We are not replacing the signs at the entrance to Roswell.
Gotcha.
The ones we did a few years
the green
ago.
with the lights and all those.
Those are not going away. Those are not being replaced.
Matter of fact, you just added one about a year ago, right?
We had two. We added two.
Yeah.
And so that is this is focusing primarily on the whole concept of helping people find out how to get where they need to go. Think of it that way. To find your way. We'll call it wayfinding. I don't know. It's just kind of. So we spent an hour on that one. Then we got through some some more procurement-related items dealing with professional services for the wastewater treatment plant. We got into the service contracts for with the in an agreement with the Hispano Chamber. And earlier we talked about the fact that there had been a break away from that Roswell Chamber of Commerce, but we stayed with the Hispano Chamber. Mr. Marcos Nava, who you've had in here, did the census stuff. Wonderful.
Remember, he was just on talking Piñata Fest, which is this weekend, by the way.
Starting now. I mean, not now, but today.
Later today.
Yeah, later today. Not. Don't run out there today. Right now.
Matter of fact, tomorrow morning, because Piñata Fest is today, tomorrow, all weekend. Tomorrow being 9/11, celebration 9/11, I invite as many folks to come out to the Chaves County Courthouse lawn. Get there early at 10 a.m. They're going to kick off the Saturday Piñata Fest festivities with a 1-hour concert, 9/11 tribute concert. Tom Blake and a bunch of other fine folks are going to be singing at that event. It's also going to be the farmers market at that time too. So if you get there early, do a little shopping, and then come out. The courthouse lawn's going to be, and then after that concert, all the other Piñata Fest activities will get underway. So that all starts about 10 a.m. tomorrow. Get there earlier for the produce and stuff.
You know, I can remember 20 years ago, Mayor Bill Owen helped organize a special event at the Wool Bowl. And Tom Blake was the lead singer. And, of course, this was like within, I'd say, 2 weeks after 9/11. And, it was a packed house.
Yeah.
We ended up having, if I remember right, cutting it short because the storm came through and we had lightning. But
well, Tom Blake, that man's got a beautiful voice.
He does.
He has a great way of setting the tone for many events like that.
He does. So, he is. Yeah. All right. So continue on. We did some more dump truck purchase, mower purchase, police vehicle purchase. Some more pickups. A lot of stuff. That's like, hey, we some of this was budgeted, some of it wasn't. We need to get this stuff. The interesting dynamic these days on vehicles is that if a vehicle shows up on a dealer's lots, you better grab it while you can because it ain't going to stay there.
Yeah, if you got a bunch of cars to sell, trade-in value is probably never going to be better.
Oh, my gosh, that's it.
Yeah.
So we made it to midnight. And at that time, we went into a closed session. And we talked a little bit about this yesterday, and I still have to tread lightly because we're voting on a settlement. Roswell was one of about 44 plaintiffs. There was 13 cities, 4 towns, 4 villages, and 17 counties that sued the State Department of Taxation and Revenue over mismanagement of how they just dealt with gross receipts tax. Roswell was the only plaintiff in Chaves County. The Chaves County was not part of this. Neither were the other smaller municipalities. Hobbs down in Lee County was one. I don't know about Eddy. I don't know if Artesia or Carlsbad was in it.
I haven't heard one way or the other. Yeah.
And we went in, and this has been going on since about 2018. We got into it just under 2 years ago and became a party to this. There's been a lot of negotiation. There was an attempt at arbitration. There was extensive discussion. There was one settlement that was offered that was rejected by the primary plaintiffs, which were Albuquerque and Hobbs. So they came back and negotiated some more. Long story short, the settlement that we voted to accept, because we come out of the closed session, come back into open session. You cannot make any decisions in a closed session. We don't take any votes. We're adamant about that.
Purely informational.
Purely informational. It's where the attorneys can tell us things that we cannot have told to us out in the public.
So you can base your votes, which you'll probably do afterwards, on educated opinions.
So we came out, and it was a 9-0 roll call vote that we approved the settlement. Now, what is that going to do for Roswell? We will get just under $2 million.
Yeah.
Sounds great. It's good. It's a fraction of what we should have received.
Sure.
A fraction of what we accused the state of having shorted us.
Sure.
But in the overall scheme of things, to press forward would have involved much more money and time with attorneys, and it was no assurance that in the end we would get anything better.
And at the end of the day, it'll still be a big enough lawsuit to garner the media attention and things to say, hey, they were doing shady stuff there and they got called out for
Yep.
it. But like I said, Roswell approved this last night, but you still have the other 40 municipalities, 30-some municipalities that have to approve this. So
Right.
So we're waiting on those. Yeah.
They're working their way through.
Sure.
I haven't heard of any community that has rejected it yet. The stance by the tax and rev, the state, is that it is all or none. In other words, that's their what their stated position. Whether that truly is the case, we will see.
Okay.
I think, though, it's time to put this to bed. I would like us to get more transparency, and we talked more about this yesterday, and I won't take up time because we're almost done.
Yeah, we're about out.
Okay, here's what I will finally end up with, a couple quick points. Again, we will have a special on
Next
Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. to do the infrastructure capital improvement plan.
ICIP.
We will have to move our November City Council meeting.
Okay.
The second Thursday in November is November 11th, which is
Is that Veterans Day?
bingo.
Yeah.
You win.
Yeah.
So it's a holiday. We're closed. So we're actually going to, in October, vote to move the November meeting to November 18th.
Okay. Which would be that? Is that the week before Thanksgiving?
Yes.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah. Don't get me started. And then at the very, very end, Mr. Nebb did a great job of updating us on the status of the zoo pond, which a tremendous amount of work has been done. Absolutely amazing.
They've done a ton of work at the zoo. It's amazing.
yeah.
It's
And
night and day, the stuff they've done over there.
The belief is that October 1, the pond will be done.
Nice.
And there's still some landscaping things they want to do, but the pond itself, the bubblers, the waterfall, there is a waterfall, by the way.
Nice.
There always was a waterfall. It was broken for probably 3 decades. It's on the south side, and it's we're really excited about this.
We could be like Wichita Falls if we turn it back on. Maybe we eventually change our name to Roswell Falls.
Yeah. And who is the one that didn't get enough sleep last night? Wait a minute. Where is that guy?
Well,
that's me.
My excuse is I'm stupid.
Yeah. So come out tomorrow to the Piñata Fest.
Yeah.
Especially
Come out tonight. Come out today. And then, but you said 10 a.m. for the 9/11 tribute. Get out there early.
20 years.
20 years. I know. And, well, I mean, we're going to be talking a lot about it here over the next couple days here.
Yep.
Just teach the lessons. Use this as a moment to show the young folks why it's so important we do what we do, and use this moment to remember those days. And come out tomorrow. Come be a part of it. So come somber and then get ready to party afterwards with Piñata Fest. Thank you, Mayor. As always, appreciate the conversations. We'll talk to you again. If not next month, sooner, we'll talk.
We're actually scheduled to come in on the 16th.
That's right. We got you back in on then, so we'll see you then. I got to go play news. You're listening to 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM, KEND, Roswell, New Mexico. It's time.